Hi, welcome to budgets, my favorite topic, numbers. This is where I all started, so let me go through what budget is. It's a very unique topic. So if you're a proposal manager, you might not be familiar with how the numbers are built up. So be curious and learn how you fit in to the overall proposal. So budgets, what is budget? Budget is nothing but the costs or the resources that you might need to include in your proposal to deliver a project. So it's nothing but a cost to complete a proposal. Simple. So how does the proposal budget structure? It could be based on the type of the project. It could be a local project, regional project, complex project, strategic project. It could be based on a renewal that you already have got. It could be a new business. So it varies. It varies, but budget as a whole is critical. And in your organization, have a look how the budget is being calculated. Do you have a template? Do you have a standard costs? And how they do allocate budgets? Or do you have any budget process? Or do you just bid just because the resources are available? It's something, be curious, understand how things work before we actually go through the best practice, because it will be very interesting for you. So we know your proposal budgets not just vary by type, but it also vary by how you budget it. Are you going to budget it just on the proposal side, just to write a proposal, or you're going to cover it capture, pipeline, post-submission activity? So what does your proposal budget cover? That's an important thing. Also have a look in your company. When you say proposal budget or a big budget, what sort of lifeline does it cover? So let's look at some of the best practices. Number one, understand how bid and proposal budgets or funds assigned and calculated in your company. I already touched that. Be curious, understand by type, understand by sector, understand by life cycle. So once you know that, then move into how are you going to collect data to the budget. Obviously, you know the main cost of your big budget is going to be people. The people in your bid might take even up to 90% of your overall budget, and or 80% depending on how technology plays a role in your budget. But anyway, let's look at some of the key resources. Who is the business developer, the sales or the bid lead, the capture manager, the bid manager, the proposal manager, the graphics person, the pricing analyst, the legal person, the HR person who's just going to come and talk about people element, the project manager who's just going to lift and drop your proposal into life cycle, and graphics person, document producer, you name it, they all should be included in the budget. Then if you all need to travel to be with the customer every now and then, the travel budget, the food budget, the accommodation budget, if you have a specific war room set up or a bid room set up in a different location, the cost of that facility, software licenses, corporate overhead, all needs to be included part of your bid budget. Have a look. Does your company have a standard bid template? If so, how they are calculated, and do you have a standard cost for your team, or are they simply taking your salary, making a pro rata depending on your time allocated to the project, and then say, okay, X person, say Sarah is going to spend 20 days and Sarah is in a $50,000 salary, whatever cost of salary is X, multiply into the number of hours you work. Is it as simple, or do you have a standard cost regardless of who involved on a bid? X person multiplied by standard cost depending on the number of timeline it's allocated. Have a look how the budget is calculated in your company. So now we have collected the information and we need to make it in a consistent, repeatable approach to build and manage your budget. Why is it important? Because you can build a one-off spreadsheet to capture the cost. Next time somebody else comes up and calculates in a totally different way. What that meant is, what's the comparison? Because you need to have some estimates even before you start to bid a project. How did we bid it in the past? Some sort of historical expenses, some sort of estimate or the effort analysis of, okay, this bid is going to happen in 4 different phases, and in phase 1 we need to have X amount of people, phase 2 we need to have slightly more, phase 3 when the proposal kicks in we need to have a lot more people, post submission you have to have a little bit less people. If you already have a process, standard template, structured how this is done, it's simple. But if you are doing that every single time, then your benchmarking might be off the record and you might be in trouble of overestimating or underestimating your big budget. So that's done. The next one is you need to have a budget. Okay, budget, you get the budget signed off by your company, your sponsor gets it signed off. Understand who is the budget owner in your company. Is it the managing director of the company, or it's a sales director of the company, or it is even the bid lead of your company? Who it is which is be responsible to get the budget done, and who is the person who is responsible to monitor and manage the budget so that he or she knows if $1 million is allocated to this budget, you are spending only what you're spending. If you need more, this is why you need more. Just somebody measures, manages your budget, or you report to that somebody to ensure that you are working within your budget. But if your time scale changes, something else happens, this also enables you to ask for more because your budget was approved based on certain criteria, depending on what you know in the past. But now things are changing, you might need to do more or you might need to have less. So what is your measuring mechanism there? Finally, how are you going to reduce your expense and increase your return of investment? In the slide notes, you will find a table. In the guide, you will find a table. Look at the best practices of the table. It really tells you best practices, APMP best practices, what you need to do for graphics, what you need to do for writing, how much time do you need to spend for reviews, how much time do you average spend for pricing. You have all these best practices thing. It's based on APMP principles. It might vary for you, but at least it gives you a feel for how you can use it and to reduce your expense or increase your expense, but most importantly, get your return of investment. Those are some of the best practices. So what are the key principles of your organization? How you can make the best use of it? Number one, as I mentioned, two things are important. Who is responsible person in your organization who will be owning the budget, ensuring the budget is maintained, managed, measured? Number two, how is the budget going to be calculated by strategic bid, non-strategic bid, by sector, by value, you name it, renewal, new business. How is it being done? Have a clear understanding. Either way, be expected to work more but budgeted less. We all have seen this. If you ask for X amount of money, you're always going to be given less and you're expected to do more. So manage your expectations in a way. Fight for what you want to fight, but be prepared to work more for less. I don't need to say that, you know that already. So finally, summary. Optimize, track your budget frequently, because that's how you know how you're going to manage your budget. And for the growth of your own company, for the growth of your own career, it's important for you to lead and manage your budget. So optimize and manage it. Number two, use it to create, whether it's strategic bid, non-strategic bid, understand the importance and calculate the bid accordingly. Next, set up a process, set up a quality statement, see whether your post-bid capture is also included or it is not included, and see how you can add more. So metric says at least allocate 10% of your project for post-submittal activities, so that you're not just focusing on your proposal, but the post-submittal activities are the ones that's going to give you enough data, enough best practices that you can lift and use it for your next bids as well. So final point, you know what? Use this as a learning curve so that your next bid has a shorter budget or a smaller budget so that you could do more for less. So that's it. Budgets, very important topic. And the budget, 4 key principles. Go through them, use the table, and allocate costs and resources to a successful proposal.